dating apps change when you hit your 30s quite a bit. I mean, I remember when I was 22, it was just very different, obviously, because of like Plenty of Fish was the main one and not Tinder and Hinge and all that. But it was different because people have different priorities when you're younger versus when you're older. And I mean, this is literally backed up too that people start to care less about looks and more about stability and personality as they get older. I mean, depending on your age, a picture of you partying with your friends will send an entirely different message. So this video, I'm just going to go over what works for me on Hinge, as well as the guys that I help who are also in their 30s. So first, we're using Hinge because it's just by far the best app right now. I recommend getting Hinge X or Hinge Plus just because the free version is too slow. However, once your profile is reasonably optimized, you should only really need it for like a month or two, where you go hard on the likes and get enough attention and date setup and everything, and then you're good. But let's start with the actual settings. Now, if you're at least open to having kids, I recommend putting that down. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of women who will just never see your profile in the first place because of that setting. And this is the same thing with not tagging on open to short term for your dating intention. And this has been backed up too. Hinge themselves said that 83% of millennials check somebody's dating intention before sending them a like. It's important. Now for your deal breakers, this is just me, but I say I'm willing to travel 30 kilometers and I'm willing to date somebody 7 years younger than me or 5 years older. I think it's good, at least in the beginning, to be a little bit lenient on it, be more flexible, and then you can like refine it down later. But I wouldn't recommend going too young because you want your profile to be shown to people who are most likely to give you a like back. Now for pictures, even though it's great if you can show off success and stability and travel photos and some of you climbing some mountain or whatever, like it's not actually necessary. Those are nice to have if you have one of yourself in a suit at a wedding or hosting some social event, but it's not necessary. Like you don't really need it. So if you have literally nothing today, get 2 selfies, 2 stage photos, and 2 fillers. The 2 selfies, I mean, just don't be like shirtless mirror pictures. Just make sure it's clear and everything. For these stage photos, these are pretty simple. Just have a picture or 2 pictures that look like they were taken by somebody else. So grab a tripod or lean your phone against something, set a timer. You can record a video and pick the best frame after, and just make a picture that looked like it was taken by somebody else of you cooking or fixing your car or playing with your dogs or reading a book or whatever hobby you're into. This seems like it might not work well, but it always surprises me how well it does. Like you can make it look very, very natural. And for fillers, what I recommend is just opening up your phone and scrolling through. Something usually pops up. It could be just something you made, maybe a trip, some scenery of some trip that you took somewhere. You don't have to overthink it. Again, this is just kind of like the baseline of what will work. If you want to get something better after, just like get your profile optimized, get everything in place, start swiping, see some matches, get some motivation, and then you can go optimize it to a higher degree after. Now, prompts. So when a woman has a good prompt, it makes me want to talk to them. If they were to say that they're honest or that they value communication, that's like, okay, cool. But that doesn't make me actually want to talk to them. And it's the same thing for guys. Like if a woman were to say, oh, she's into Seahawks and Xbox, Don Henley, Max Richter, astronomy, sci-fi, I'd be like, hell yes, I have to talk to her. And that's kind of the same thing that you want to do. Like essentially, it's just about hooking the right person. You're not trying to cast a wide net and be enticing to everybody. You just want to hook the right person that's into the same things as you are. So here's some different examples of prompts that I've used in the past. And, you know, doing this kind of stuff really does improve match quality, like quite a bit. I was really surprised once I started sharing very specific things about myself in my prompts that I would have a lot of things that would resonate with different women. And even like a couple of weeks ago, I saw somebody that she shared in her prompts that she has a YouTube channel, which is basically just like mine. And it was just like the woman version of it. I think that was so cool. We had a great conversation. And it just makes me wonder of like, how many profiles have I seen with women who I could have actually resonated really, really well with, but they never shared that information. And, you know, it works both ways. You have to do it too. Now, once you get a match, messaging is pretty simple, especially if you have something in common to talk about. Most of the time, there's something that you can work with, but not always. But let me just pull up Hinge right now with you. I'll just quickly go through a few profiles to show you examples of things that you can ask about. Let's start with Alicia here. Most irrational fears: my future sucking at sports, or kids sucking at sports. Okay. All right. First one, nothing really to talk about. Let's go next one. Okay. Pottery and painting. That's a great. What do you like to make for pottery? What do you like to paint? Oh, great. Ski and snowboard. It's in season. I don't have any experience with that, but that could work well. And that one doesn't. Next, she's an architect. That's actually something that I recommend that you can actually talk about beyond just putting at your job. That's interesting to some people. Current book, podcast I'm into, asking which one that could lead to something. This is a good prompt. You can ask about what career change or cities that she'd moved to or new hobbies that she started. Great. Okay, Diane. Head to church. That is something. Like if you're religious, include that kind of stuff if it's important to you. You'll push away some people, but you'll attract the right person, and that's what it's all about. 4'11", she's short. This is great. She likes aviation. That is very unique. That is very specific to the right person, the right guy. He'll really be into that. And yeah, that one's good too. Phoebe, if your name starts with a J. Well, there goes that chance. Next, okay, football. She's into football, so that's something. Stand-up comedy. Yeah, I like that too. Snacks doesn't do anything. Though when she's really into football, I guess. So again, those are pretty easy ones. Now, of course, you can look at their pictures as well. Maybe there's something to talk about in them. But if there wasn't anything at all, then you can just ask what they got up to today or what they got up to this past weekend or whatever. Because that's like a million times better than asking how the weekend was or how the day was, because that's not specific. They'll just say the day was good. How about you? And then there's nothing to work with. Now, you don't need to do all of this. You can still set up a date with a boring chat. But this will just make it a lot easier once you can learn to ask the right, specific, meaningful questions that can just spark a whole conversation. And there's so much more flow to it. You don't have to overthink on, what's the best possible response or whatever. You just know it because the conversation is leading in a direction. And in terms of asking them out, just keep it simple. What I do is it's been the same thing since like 2012. I say we should hit up. Sometimes it'll be a drink, other times it'll be a coffee, but like we should hit up a coffee sometime early next week, Kate. Sometimes a little smiley face. Like if she's interested, it won't really matter exactly how you ask. But overall, yeah, it is a bit of a different ball game in your 30s, not just the apps, but just dating in general. Like when I got out of my 12-year relationship at the beginning of last year, I think that's one of the big things that I felt was just like the pressure that the clock is ticking, that I need to find somebody. But honestly, I'm glad I didn't give into that, because it couldn't be further from the truth. There's no short supply of great women in their 30s or 40s or 50s or at any age. I think the worst thing is letting that pressure drag on you, or just be a distraction if you're not ready to date. Like I heard something that when somebody's not ready to date, it's kind of like grocery shopping when you're starving. Like you'll put wants over your needs, and you're not as picky as what you should be, or you don't have the standards built up for what you actually deserve. Like I'm grateful that I'm way more selective than I was in my 20s. Honestly, when I was 20, like if they're attractive, I'll date them pretty much as long as I get along with them. And then just because I'm around them often, I become attached from that fact, and maybe a little bit about a fear of being single again. But it wasn't like, are we actually right together? Like there's so many decisions that I'm glad weren't finalized in my 20s, like who I date or my career, because I didn't know any better. Those are pretty big things to decide at that age. But yeah, I think holding high standards for yourself it's hard to do, even if it's necessary, but it's really hard to do, especially if you don't have a lot of matches or whatever. But if you use the apps properly and you're patient with them, you can pull it off. But anyway, I'm way off track here. If you need help with your profile, check out the description. Otherwise, I'll talk to you in a couple days.